Hey everyone, I'm Madalyn Sklar, host of the Social ROI Chat, and I'm here with our special guest, Miri Rodriguez. Hey Miri, how are you?
Hi, Madeline. Hi, everyone. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. Such an honor.
It was a great topic today talking about storytelling. You were just awesome. I just loved your answers. You shared just really great stuff. I know a lot of people on there were really wowed by all your responses. So I can't wait to get some expanded thoughts here on video. But before we dive in, can you tell everybody a little bit about yourself and what you do at Microsoft?
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, it was a great chat. I'm actually a storyteller. That is my title here at Microsoft. And I sit not on the brand side, I actually sit on the IT side, the engineering side of Microsoft. So that really talks about how we have storytellers all over, not just on the brand side, because it's a business strategy for us. And so it's really important that we have storytellers represented everywhere. So it's really cool.
I love that. So, how did you get involved with Microsoft?
Well, I was recruited 6 years ago. I was brought in initially to do some operational training for our partners with in the digital space in their programs. At that time, we were actually doing the licensing programs because we were not digital in our products yet. So we still had boxes that we shipped out to people in our products. So and at that point, I was working with our partners closely to make sure that we used social platforms to connect with our end users and talk to them. And actually, that kind of started the storytelling thing about how do we connect with our customers better without just talking about the features and our products, services, but really talk about the stories of those end users and how they use those features. So it kind of began that trajectory that we have now here at Microsoft, which was really cool to see happen.
That is awesome. Thanks for sharing that. I see that Morel's here and says that you are amazing. I'm sure you love hearing that, and that you spoke at a social media marketing summit in Sydney, and
I
that
did.
everybody
Yes.
loves you.
Oh,
Oh,
she's
so
wonderful. Put on this social media marketing summit there, which I spoke. I gave the keynote, and she actually did something really amazing, which we spoke about. She did a first social media summit awards, and she recognized so many of the industry leads that are doing such great things in social media. So thank you for being and joining and giving me that shout out. These shout outs should really go to you because you are amazing.
that is so awesome. So you were just in Sydney? Is that
Yeah,
right?
and New Zealand. And New Zealand. I just got
Wow.
back, so I'm still jet lagged.
I bet you are. Well, ManageFlitter and Kevin Garber, who's here on the chat, let me pop up one of his remarks he just made. They're based in Sydney. So, wow,
Oh,
small world that you were just there. Okay, I wish I knew that because I could have tried to connect y'all. Sorry, Kevin, I didn't know. Um, okay, so what we're going to do is go through some of the questions to get your expanded thoughts from today's chat. I love doing this because it's one thing reading your responses via Twitter, but now we can move over to video and get your more expanded thoughts. So it's a lot of fun. The topic today is integrating storytelling into your social strategy, the how and the why. So
mhm.
let's start with question number one. How do you make storytelling into your brand identity?
Yeah, I spoke in the chat and I'll expand a little bit more. It's really not integrated. It is the business strategy today. It really is the way that marketers need to be thinking about content delivery and beyond content delivery and beyond marketing, because it is the one thing that is connecting us 101, and it gets real, it gets authentic. There's no BS about it. So this new generation that's coming, Gen Z, plus the millennial generation, the earlier generation that's now kind of transforming the way brands connect to them as consumers, are really a no BS kind of generation. They can smell fake right a mile away. They know what they want, what they don't want. They're savvy. They're connected. And so we really have to start thinking about the real way to start connecting. And it's back to where we started, but it's back to the way that we connect with each other one-on-one is through stories. So it's working really well for a company like Microsoft. It's really turned the business around. It starts with empathy, which is one of the things that drives our business today. Satya Nadella, our CEO, really drives the business with empathy, and he forces us to rethink the way we can talk to each other and talk to our stakeholders and talk to our partners, and it is with empathy. And I think that's the key driver to business today.
That is so awesome. So how is this changing the landscape of social media for Microsoft? Like what kind of changes have happened because of this?
Oh my gosh, 100%. It's done a 180 turnaround. We used to just talk about our services and features and, and a lot about our, what was coming next, right? What's coming, the new feature and the new update and be ready for the update. And it isn't about that. It's how these new services or products or features are enabling our customers. So we actually have given them the platform to tell those stories. We've given them the mic. We've given them the opportunity. The stories are raw. They're not filtered. They're not scripted. They're real. With real customers that are talking about us. And, I saw in one of the chats, somebody said something about negative stories. We think all stories, and I don't think there's a negative. I think it's just the way people feel about our brand. Really, stories also help us to gather that feedback and really closes the loop on customer sentiment more than social media. And I think for social media marketers, that's always been a big deal because we don't really capture the sentiment a lot. There's no real tool that does that well for us. So stories are now really opening up that new way to have authentic conversation because we are being authentic, and so the response is authentic back. So we're seeing a lot that customers are talking back to us in a more authentic way, and they feel like telling our stories. And if it's something that they feel we need improvement on, they tell it, and so we use it also as a feedback loop, which we love.
That's great. So when they're talking to Microsoft, they don't feel like they're talking to this giant brand. They feel like they're talking to a person. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly.
That's so cool.
Exactly. And the way we looked at social media platforms is we have so many channels, we have so many products, we have so many languages. So, Story has really unified that for us. We do understand that the channels are different and that's okay. But that customer, whoever that is, they feel like they are talking to a person and that person represents the brand.
That's great. I see that there's a question here from Morel. What are some ways businesses can begin to craft a story around their business?
Yes, Mariah. The
Right.
way you begin, yes, I had a hard time with her name as well, so I apologize for mispronouncing it earlier when I first met her. The way to start really is to start with the end. Think about your mission and think about your customers and what you want that story to resonate as. What do you want your stakeholders to walk away with, your audience to walk away with? When you drop the story, which is the main thing of your brand, you decide, okay, it's like rebranding yourself almost. You're going to say, what do I want to position myself as with the story? And people will capture that. Everything else is a filler. Every other story is really part of that narrative that weaves into the main theme. So you start with the end, you start with the mission, you start with the goal and your audiences. You need to know who your audience is so that it can be relevant and resonate well. You need to know where they live, obviously, and what channels you're going to drive that, and the form type of story, because a story is not just written content. Obviously, it's video, it's a GIF. I mean, there's so many ways today that digitally you can build a story. So think about the form, the type, think about the tone, and think about what you want that conclusion to be for your audiences.
This is all great stuff. I really love this. I'm so glad you're sharing this with us. Kevin said that Microsoft is doing a lot right now. Their share price has gone up. Now, that is a great story. I love that.
That's right. That's right. And I came in 6 years ago, so you can imagine how happy I am.
Right. There you go.
I've seen
right.
that stock go up, and it's just such a celebration and such a testament of how we're doing things today. Not by all means because we're doing things right, just because of we have great products and services, but because we've been able to tell the story of those customers who are empowered by those products and services, which is really cool.
I love that. I love when big brands really embrace that and do storytelling right, and people really get it. Like they see that and know is legit, right? Like that's so awesome. Question number 2. This was a really good one. I really enjoyed your answers to this. What are, instead of just saying your 3 go-to, we'll say just however many you want to talk about. What are your go-to storytelling techniques that keeps the audience interested and engaged?
Yeah. So I mentioned from Park Howell, one of my key partners in this whole thing in storytelling. He does mention every single time if it doesn't have a character, if it doesn't have a plot and conclusion, definitely not a story. So that's almost like your checkoff box right off the start. I think a story can be boring even if it has those elements. So to make sure you keep your audience engaged, always have a tension point. For us at Microsoft, it's been vulnerability, speaking to the fact that we don't have it all put together, that we have come off from this idea as a brand that, here's the tech giant who knows it all and who has, this huge chunk of the market. There are key players in the market coming in. So we understand that, we get that. So for us, it's now from a vulnerable side of, hey, we are all digital transforming. We're all figuring it out. We're pioneering some stuff in the AI space, but we don't know where it's going yet, and we're working through it. That vulnerability for us has been key for customers to see us human. We've put faces behind the engineers. So we've told stories of those engineers that are doing this stuff. So people now put a face to the technology, not just the big technology behind it or what we're doing. So that has proven to us to be really, really successful. I think in every brand, no matter the sector or the industry, if people are able to see the people behind that service or product, we immediately connect, emotionally, and we put aside the front face of the brand, and now we get a little deeper. We go a deeper level down because of it. So make it interesting by adding personal stories. Put people behind that brand.
I love it. That's awesome. Kevin has a very important comment. Let me share it with you. He wants to know if you can please get Saya and Bill to come on as guests on the Social ROI chat. What do you think? You think you can make that happen?
I think I'm going to try my best. I can't guarantee it, but I will try. I hope that they can also make it to my house for barbecue one day. So we'll hope for both. I'll see what they can do.
Awesome. I love it. All right. Let's do one more question. Let's see. This question number 4, when creating stories for your social strategy, how do you choose a theme?
Yeah, so I'll speak specifically to Minds because I didn't do that there. I was kind of overall in my answer from a Microsoft perspective. For us, it's really tied back to our core initiatives, and specifically to core services engineering or IT. Right now, it's digital transformation and the IT vision. So right now, we're talking about what our vision is for this fiscal year, what that entails, and the stories that drive that. So for digital transformation, that's very broad. We're talking about the things like security. We're talking about things like AI, of course. We're talking about things like accessibility and technology. Those are all stories. We just actually put out a story about one of our colleagues who is actually visually impaired, and he keeps our engineers and our coders, he's also an engineer, honest about the fact that some of our technology still needs work, and accessibility is not accessible to all. So when we talk about empowering every person and organization on the planet, that includes everyone, right? So we're getting really honest. It's almost like a reflection back to us, a self-reflection on what we're saying. If our mission really is that, are we really achieving that? And what are we doing it with? And then we talk about those stories, and we talk about, the initiatives that drive this year. Those stories will change next year because we're going to have new initiatives. And I think that's the beauty of storytelling, is the fact that we have this one big narrative, and then everything kind of starts changing. You don't run out of content, right? You don't run out of content because you continuously change the different stories that make up that big narrative.
That's great. I love it. I mean, this is such helpful information that you're sharing that I think there's just so many takeaways from it. Do you have time for one more question? Can we do one more?
I do, please.
Let's do the last question number 7. Because question number 6, we were talking about like how do big companies like Microsoft keep the tone and purpose of their storytelling consistent on brand. So which led to number 7 when we're saying, how are these large companies measuring the success? I love your answer. How are they measuring the success of your story, of the storytelling?
Consumption is our big metric for us, especially because we found out that, engagement is now futile. Engagement is cute and it's nice and it's good to have. It's what followers used to be before, right? Oh, we have a whole lot of followers. Okay, we have a whole lot of likes. That does not translate. And so for us, if our customer is being compelled to go to our site to consume the content, we know we've done our job, right? We know that it's passed through the immersion of the saturation of social media and everybody else. They've clicked through. They want to get more of what we just sent them as a bait to grab it. So consumption is number 1. It translates most definitely into brand loyalty, because once you consume the content and you've learned the story, there's that emotional connection that happens. That is the power of storytelling. And so people are now beginning to think of the brand differently. It really changes brand perception. And I think think we've seen that transformation outside of Microsoft, inside most definitely, but outside, as brand perception, Microsoft has really been able to withstand this really, very competitive market through its years and really revamp itself through stories. So it's definitely, I think, consumption is number one. Brand loyalty is something that you're going to start seeing as a direct result of that.
I love this. This is so great. I was just spending time today sitting down with a brand and strategizing. And these were the exact things we were talking about. Like, I feel like this is the direction of social strategy now, is this consumption. So I just loved when you shared that during the chat. That was so good. It was like mind blowing. I was like, yes. This is it. This is like the perfect answer. Thank you so much for coming on, Miri. This has been so enlightening. I just really appreciate you taking the time to join us today. So how can people best get in touch? I know you got your Twitter and we were all chatting with you there. I'll post the link to your Twitter. Is there anywhere else that we can send people?
LinkedIn. I don't have a Facebook. I actually just created the account to get on this chat. FYI, you made me. You're gonna put me on Facebook.
You on there. I was like,
you're supposed to. No, not on Facebook. LinkedIn, of course. Instagram. Okay. Instagram is Miri Rod, same as Twitter. And find me on LinkedIn. I post a lot there. And of course, and anytime you tweet me, I'll be sure to connect with everyone who does. If you know me, I really do this for the connection purpose. I will do my best to reply on time and connect with time because this is my ROI. Is the great people that I get to meet, like you and Marilee and everybody else.
I love it. I'm grabbing all of your links and posting them real quick here in the comments on Facebook. This has been so great. Thank you so much, Miri. We really appreciate this. So thanks everybody for watching. We'll be back next week with another awesome chat. So until then, see you out on Twitter. Bye, everybody. Bye, Miri.
Bye. Bye.